Tonight on Prime Business, Public Interest and Accountability Committee PAC charges government to refund $3.8 million spent by the GNPC on Ghana-Cote d'Ivoire maritime boundary ruling. We have details coming up.
Here alone, $640,000 was spent on that commission, which didn't relate to any oil field dispute or any oil field boundary issues.
Also, government yet to fully settle the COVID-19 electricity subsidies owed the ECG, as its indebtedness to the power distributor hits more than 3 billion cedis. We'll hear from the Association of Ghana Industries, which says the planned upward adjustment in tariffs could render industries uncompetitive.
If your cost of serving me electricity costs me X, that is what I should pay for. I cannot pay the X plus some other things which goes to subsidize residential users or other users which are not relevant to industry.
Plus, African Continental Free Trade Area risks losing its vision if member countries fail to improve on logistics and transportation. We'll have more from the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry.
To drive the vision of the AFCFTA, Africa must build a multimodal transport network across the continent, bringing together infrastructure, equipment, and digital solutions needed to support the demands of trading under the agreement.
Stay with us, we have commodities starting. Hello and welcome. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PAC, warns government to refund the $3.8 million spent by the GNPC on the Ghana-Cote d'Ivoire maritime boundary dispute a few years ago. Now, according to PAC, the dispute was between two sovereign states and not between a sovereign state and a state institution. We have more on this report.
GNPC spent $3.8 million on the Secretariat in charge of activities of the Ghana-Cote d'Ivoire maritime boundary dispute, which was determined in 2017 at the International Tribunal on the Law of the Sea. But the Public Interest and Accountability Committee, PAC, says since the dispute was between two sovereign states and not between a sovereign state and a state oil firm, it is therefore wrong for GNPC's resources to be used to settle the cost of the litigation. Speaking to selected journalists at a media engagement in the Volta region, a member of PAC, Bashiru Abdul Razak, said the $3.8 million spent by GNPC on the litigation should be refunded immediately. Subsequently, in 2021, the corporation spent $614.2 million on the Maritime Boundary Special Project. As it stands now, GNPC has spent a total of $11.85 million on the maritime boundary-related activities. The refund, according to PAC, would enable the state oil exploration firm to mobilize funds for its core mandate and take up other exploration activities such as the ongoing works on the Voltarian Basin and the West Cape 3 Points.
Meanwhile, speaking earlier on Business Live, committee member of PAC, Eric, therefore, says the PAC is committed to demanding accountability from the GNPC and government as a whole.
We all agree that GNPC is taking a chunk of the oil revenue so that it can build its capacity to stand alone as a national oil company. Because we don't have the capacity to do some of the things that the international oil companies are doing, we are getting very limited returns from our oil resources. So what we think that should be done, I mean, we've had situations where government has fallen on GNPC to either guarantee or loan some of this money to other state institutions who are not paying back, and therefore depleting the financial capacity of the GNPC in its ability to even carry out some of its functions in the Voltairean Basin, etc. So we should have a policy position, leave GNPC to do its core mandates, and then find money from other sources of the national budget to fund some of the activities that other agencies require. But if we think GNPC has become a cash cow, it has available resources, so anytime that government needs money, it goes to GNPC. We will not be able to do what GNPC is supposed to do. So GNPC also as an entity must try and protect itself from defending the pressure that is coming from government so that it doesn't lose focus on what it has to do. So this is one of the areas. You see $11.85 million has been sent so far on the Maritime Boundary Commission over the years. Last year alone, $640,000 was spent on that commission, which didn't relate to any oil field dispute or any oil field boundary issues. So we would hope that government will take this advice seriously, find money. Now we are getting e-levy also, which can help to settle some of these costs, and therefore free GNPC to be able to handle this core mandate.
Government is yet to fully settle electricity subsidies granted as COVID-19 relief to the ECG for Ghanaians. That's according to a report by the power distribution firm submitted to the PLCU. Now, the consideration to increase electricity tariff on this matter, we have more in this report by Charles Nixon-Yeboah.
ECG, however, expects the government to continue to honor its debt obligations to keep the company afloat. It therefore expressed worry that subsidies expected to be paid by the government on behalf of customers are always in arrears, thereby negatively affecting the financial health of the company. Government indebtedness to ECG in the last few years had gone down to a little above 3 billion cedis. The components of government bills are ministries, departments and agencies, Ghana Water Company Limited, subsidies, street light shortfall, and utility relief granted to all customers from July 2016 to June 2019 and COVID-19 relief. However, between 2019 and 2021, government has paid ECG almost 17 billion cedis as its indebtedness. The various government payments, the report said, were reconciled with stakeholders in the electricity value chain and applied to reduce government indebtedness. Importantly, the total amount paid by government under this arrangement was more than government indebtedness.
Meanwhile, if government fails to subsidize electricity tariffs, consumers could pay from August 2022, with the ECG demanding a 148% increase in tariff. A proposal from the power distributor submitted to the PLC wants the adjustments to cover the period of 2019 and 2022. And it is not just the ECG asking for an increment in tariffs. The Ghana Water Company Limited is also seeking adjustments of that nature. Speaking earlier on the marketplace, the chief executive of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chuma Kwabwa, says if the PLC goes ahead to adjust the utility tariffs upward, it will render industries uncompetitive.
Ghana belongs to the high tariff countries, high electricity tariff countries. If you go to Ethiopia, energy is being sold at about 5 cents per kilowatt hour. In Ghana, we are doing about 15 cents. So when you already have high tariff levels, and then you continue to adjust and increase, the tendency is that you make your tariff levels too expensive for your industries. And when they become so expensive, it means that your input cost is becoming higher, your cost of production is growing, and you must sell at a higher price to stay in business. Selling at higher price means that you are being uncompetitive in the market. And especially as you rightly mentioned, we are talking of AFTA, Continental Free Trade Agreement. You are opening your doors for goods to come from everywhere in Africa, duty-free, quota-free. You also want to be able to export. If your prices are high, you just cannot export. So these considerations are critical, and therefore it is important that in our adjustments, we take all these factors into account. But as I mentioned, we want our utility companies to stay in business, because if they are not in business, they can't provide the energy that we need. So in order for them to stay in business, some adjustment sometimes is necessary, but let's also take account of all the other factors that I mentioned, the cross-subsidy and all that. Perhaps if we do it, we probably wouldn't need to adjust so much for in respect of industries.
Now, African countries have been urged to increase their logistics and transportation networks to drive the vision of the African Free Trade Continental Area, or risk losing its importance. According to a Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapper, the member countries should strengthen their regional value chain and build multi-modal transport networks across the continent. He was speaking at the African Forum of the Chartered Institute of Logistics, of which we have more in this report.
The minister at the International Forum for the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport called on African countries to develop linkages that enhance their abilities and capacities to feed industries in a sustainable way. He reiterated the need for countries to develop earth, road and rail lines.
If we are to reap the full benefits of our integration agenda, much of our efforts must be to ensuring that all participants are on the right side of the value chain. Holding all of it together is our ability to move goods across borders. I call it the legs of the AFCFTA, without which it can only remain a paper dream. Trade facilitation is crucial for realizing the benefits of the agreement, and we must take urgent steps towards the simplification, modernization, and harmonization of import and export procedures. To drive the vision of the AFCFTA, Africa must build a multimodal transport network across the continent, bringing together infrastructure, equipment, and digital solutions needed to support the demands of trading under the agreement. Currently, the means of haulage and movement of goods is largely by sea for primary goods and by air for some of our non-traditional exports. Cross-border trading is being undertaken mostly by road. Transport and logistics, as we have heard from the Secretary General, is rightly one of the priority areas for the AFCFTA.
President of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, Engineer Mark Efum Amwama, says his outfit will work in partnership with other state agencies to ensure the facilitation of trade in Ghana and beyond.
In logistics, the good thing is that we train our professionals through the logistics lines. And most of our programs are logistics based, beside the transport. Right, the idea is to give them the professional kind of touch, how to approach logistics, both from end-to-end logistics I'm referring to, the inland and the outbound. We are looking at the out and the in, throughout the whole flow. We expect that we can be able to come out, develop professionals who can be able to manage logistics efficiently, putting in very little by gaining more. We are challenged, of course, in recent times with the cost of fuel because of what is going on down there in Ukraine, which has affected trade in all forms. And for CILT, we see that one as a challenge. What we can do is to now go back and not continue to do the same thing the same way all the time, but to strategize and see. In fact, COVID taught us a lot of ways to do certain things. You don't need to travel from point A to point B before you can have certain things done. What you can be able to take advantage of technology, you do that, so that we can be able to cut down some of these expenses. In fact, one of the key things the Institute in its next year, looking forward, is what just the Minister said about taking advantage of these electric buses and to be able to see if we can contribute, because that concept alone, one, it satisfies the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal.
The Institute is bent on creating a strong model for growth based on regional development.
Economist with Data Bank Research, Courage Botti, has stated that a further call on the Bank of Ghana to increase the policy rate again could force inflation downwards and realign market rates in the financial sector. According to him, the current inflation rate of 19.5% is a major disincentive that has pushed investors away from buying government bills. Government missed its Treasury bill target last month by 2.24 billion cedis rather, representing a drop of 35% in April. Speaking to Joy Business, Courage Botti said the market could soon see a readjustment if inflation drops in the short term.
The Bank of Ghana in March increased the policy rate by some 250 basis points, which was quite aggressive. But beside that, they also increase what you call the required reserve ratio to 12% from 8%. Now, the combined effect of this is that liquidity levels on the interbank market is tightened. And they did it for a reason. The history has shown that commercial bank lending to the private sector hasn't been great for this COVID era and the periods after. And then with inflation climbing up, and the Bank of Ghana's model would have suggested that inflation will be around the levels they are now, the real fear would have been that if we allow this liquidity to stay in the system and it's not going to the productive sectors also, it might go after consumption, which will prove inflationary. And the agenda has been to tighten inflation. So I believe that is what informed the tightening of the required reserve ratio to 12%, in addition to the policy rate. What this has done is that banks are struggling or are trying to meet their liquidity requirement, regulatory requirement from the Bank of Ghana at the moment. And so the liquidities they have are being channeled into that. Some are even selling some of their T-bills and other investment to try to raise cash to meet the level of demand they meet daily. And so you would have seen shortfall in demand for GOG bills, which is where the excess cash that has been in the the banking system since the COVID era, has been going into government bills and bonds. With the tightening, most of it now is being channeled into meeting the regulatory requirements of liquidity levels, on a weekly basis. And so we are seeing shortfalls on the market.
Republic Bank Ghana PLC says it is committed to safeguarding its operations to reduce losses as the bank sees an increase in profit. It is thus beefing up its relationship with customers. According to the board chair, Charles Swinners, the bank is putting in measures to enhance efficiency in its performance.
At the 2021 golf tournament, the bank says its strong brand gives more control over the bank's future. It revealed that the bank is bent on creating relevance and captivating multi-channel marketing. Charles Zwinners, the bank's board chair, says he's hopeful the bank will soon get an approval from the Bank of Ghana with respect to its dividend payment.
Well, the national regulator is responding positively, yes, I'd say so. And we have every expectation that their final response would be an approval. If you look at our account statements over the past few years, we have increased our profits progressively from one year to the next. And it's a very clear indication that our bank is growing from strength to strength. The market fundamentals of our bank are improving because we're working harder, we are reducing losses, and we are overall improving efficiency. So last year we were 56 million profit. This year we've made 89 million profit. And of course, if you look at that rate of improvement, we assure you that you can look forward to the same rate next year to come. You'd also see around the city of Accra that our brand presence and our branch presence is improving because we have some iconic landmark banking halls and establishments newly opened around the city.
Senior Manager for Electronic Channels and Payments Department Jessica Benson-Jam said the bank's credit card is geared towards helping businesses with recurrent expenditure and also help SMEs who want to make purchases abroad.
So it's a solutions card. We expect our customers and Ghanaians in general to take advantage of the card. The card is a consumer card. We are not limiting it to a niche market. We're saying once you earn 1,500, you qualify. We're saying an SME can also benefit from the card. So we expect Ghanaians to patronize the card and also enjoy the benefits of this card.
The bank is poised to give its customers good services through its new initiatives.
As a means to attract and appeal to contemporary consumers, KFC Ghana has signed Kiddy as its new brand ambassador. Speaking at the unveiling ceremony, the marketing manager for KFC Ghana, Chris Adosakode, said the company hopes to expand in the coming years. Therefore, it's reason to associate with the Kiddy brand. The company is excited of the collaboration and promises consumers of better services as it also plans to open its new branch in Cape Coast. We have more on this report.
Since its inception in Ghana in 2011, the KFC brand has strived to match up the growing demands of its consumers. With dynamic consumers, the brand is set to expand and become more appealing to the public. Thus, its signing of Kidi as its new brand ambassador. Speaking at the unveiling ceremony, marketing manager for KFC Ghana, Chris Ado Sarkodie, gives reason for the collaboration.
We felt the need to associate ourselves with a brand that also has got the same values that we also, have. We know Kidi as a fire brand. If you look at the number of followers that he has, if you look at his virtues, if you look at how he has grown, from the hitmaker days to where he is right now, we definitely felt that, with the pace at which we want to grow, and looking at somebody that can tag along with us to ensure that we are growing at the pace that we want, getting in a lot of footfalls within our restaurants, getting in a lot of consumers, enjoying and purchasing KFC, we definitely felt the need that he's the right person for us to work with.
Kidi, who won this year's Vodafone Ghana Music Awards Artist of the Year, said he's excited to be associated with the KFC brand and hopes to push the agenda and impact the lives of the consumers.
I look forward to amazing things to come. It's crazy because when my team told me we're going to be doing this, I was like, this is probably destiny, because I chew chicken, KFC chicken a lot. It's crazy. So thank you so much. Like I said, more activities ahead, more growth for both brands, for us, and we hope for the best for the future. Let's enjoy and eat more chicken.
Meanwhile, KFC lovers in Central Region are to brace themselves as the company announces its first ever branch to be opened at Pedu in Cape Coast.
I am very happy to also inform you that our 27th restaurant, which is the first quick service restaurant in the whole of Central Region, will be open on coming Thursday at Pedu in Cape Coast.
Ifwa Aprekua Boafo's report read to you.
Congrats to Kitty there. Well, that's how we end Prime Business, but we'll leave you with international business, after which we have Prime Sports. Do stay with Jordies.